Hello, welcome to Desert Skies Podcast. This is episode 4. This is a really special episode because I am interviewing my English teacher who is retiring at the end of this semester. We've had a really good semester so far, and it's been a really growing experience for both of us to have these conversations. And I figured it'd be really fun to have her on the podcast and just talk about her experience as a teacher. So, Miss Astle, do you mind sharing your something that you're proud of?
Something that I'm proud of. Well, there's a lot of things that I think I'm proud of. Professionally, I'm just proud that I made it 30 years of teaching. It's a great career. It's wonderful, and I'm proud that I made it all 30 years. Personally, I think the proudest thing I have is my family. I love my husband. I have 3 beautiful children. I have 3 beautiful daughters-in-law, and 4 grandchildren that I am extremely proud of and love very, very much.
And then one that came just last week, right?
It came on Monday, actually.
Wow, that's
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, so Miss Astle has been teaching for 30 years, 12 years of PE and English, and then 18 years of special education, mild to moderate. And so that's a huge accomplishment in itself. But on top of that, she's managed to be a mom, grandma, and just an exceptional teacher. She is very emotionally invested in each one of her students, and it shows through each one of her lessons. And so we have been happy to have her here at Clearfield, and I figured having this interview and listening to what she has to say would be the perfect send-off. So, Miss Astle, why did you become a teacher?
Well, first of all, thank you, Reed. You're a great kid. I've had a great time teaching you. I became a teacher. I come from a long line of teachers. My dad was a teacher. In fact, I had him in class. I was a student of his. My brother was a teacher. My mother actually majored in elementary education, but she stayed at home. And my grandmother was a teacher. My great-great-grandfather was a teacher. He actually was the first president of BYU. So that's kind of in the genes. But also, probably the main reason was I had some really terrific, awesome teachers when I was in school, and I wanted to take that and pay it forward.
Oh, I think that's exceptional. So, um, so with that, what's your teaching philosophy? Like, what are your core beliefs when it comes to teaching? What do you really want to convey when you're just teaching?
I want it to be real. I want it to be relevant. If a student is sitting in my class and it doesn't mean anything to them, they're not going to learn it. So I want it to be real world stuff. I want it to be relevant to them. I just feel like if I can explain how it relates to the real world, it's going to be better, and they're going to learn more, and they're going to want to learn more.
Right. I think that's exceptional. One thing that happened in the beginning of the year is I told Miss Astle that I had ADD, which was like really a big hindrance on my academic performance for the past 3 years. Not so much this year because I've been doing way better with it. But when I told her, she told me that you two have
Yep.
ADD, and because of that, like she has some pretty interesting skills when it comes to just keeping attention or splitting it up the way that it needs to be split up, and her teaching style just fits super well with the classes that she's taught. So like whenever I come in, I know that it's not going to be useless information. Like I feel like I've used it in every other class, and then there's also just like real world application to everything, and so it's like she really does strive to um, have relevance and actual application when it comes to the stuff that she teaches. It's not just English for the sake of English and English for the sake of the credit. She said in the beginning of the year, I know you guys are all seniors. I know you're in here to get this credit, but I want to I want you to leave with something. So I think that you've done that, and I think that's been really good, and I think your philosophy definitely shows through.
Thank you.
Um, so what did you like best about being a teacher?
The students. Has to be the students, by far. I mean, you go into a career thinking I'm going to be the best in the world, and I'm not. I'm not perfect. I'm not the greatest, but
Depends on who you ask.
but the students. I'm a learner. I like to learn, and I like to teach what I've learned. But really, for the most part, learning from the students is so exciting to me, because I can come in and disperse information all I want, but when a student tells me something that I didn't know, or tells me something about them that I can learn, and that's just exciting to me. I love going
sure.
home every day and saying, "Oh my gosh, I learned this today. This is so cool."
That is cool. So is it true what like a bunch of teachers say that there's actually like a glow with kids that are learning and learning something that they enjoy. Because I've heard from various other teachers at this school and all the schools that I've been to that like they do it because maybe they don't see that for a couple weeks, but when they finally see it, it's like a whole reward for all the work that they put in, and it's worth it just to have that one student.
It is very, very true. It is very true. You can see kids that when they get it, that's probably the biggest thing is when a kid comes into your class and maybe they're kind of down or whatever, and you explain something and they don't get it and they don't get it, and you say one thing
And
and
it clicks,
it
right?
clicks, and you can just see it in their eyes, and it's a confidence builder for them. You're
Right,
like, oh my gosh, I got it,
right.
and it's great, and it's a wonderful feeling. It's a great, great, great feeling.
Yeah. I think the most underrated role that a teacher can have in a kid's life is just making them feel like they're actually smart, and then also like bringing um, that like knowledge that, oh, I'm capable of doing this. I'm
Mhm.
capable of learning. I can add value to myself. I'm not all that I am today, and that's it. I can be more in the future, and I can just grow myself. Like I've learned that from so many teachers. I had this amazing teacher back at my other high school. His I don't remember his name right off the top of my head, but it was a AP history teacher, and he was exceptional because he didn't just want you to learn about it. He wanted you to feel the history. He
Right.
wanted you to know the facts, feel a type of way about it, and then be able to explain like, oh, this is the situation. And then he also just made us feel like it was something exceptional that we were doing. And I feel like you've done the same thing with this class, even though it's just English and it's just regular English 12, like, which in itself wouldn't be inherently the most accomplish oriented class, accomplishment oriented.
Yeah.
It became like, oh, there's real world application. Like when we were writing argumentative essays or like trying to prove a point or something, it just felt like you always had some type of thing to justify why we were like doing that and why we were trying to like learn how to write these papers. It wasn't you're writing this paper so that you can go to college and write more papers so that you can get good grades on those. It's, oh no, you're trying to write these papers so that in the future when you have a job and you want to convince somebody of something or you want to explain something that you can do it. And I felt like you did the same thing, and then that history teacher really just wanted us to understand history so we wouldn't repeat it or so that we would stay true to like the roots of, and it was US history, so the roots of this country. And I feel like both of those classes really played a pivotal role in like creating me and the type of person that I am. And I feel like this class has done that, but not really in like a literary sense, just more of like a I know that everything that I'm doing in school is actually going to have some type of application if I just look for it and if I actually put some time and effort into it.
And if every kid felt that way, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine.
Oh, that would be a world changer
It'd
for
be a
sure.
total world changer. It'd be great.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to future students
Future students,
or future teachers?
future
My bad.
teachers. Probably the main thing I would say is if you want to become a teacher, make sure you have a passion. Make sure you have a passion for teaching, for being with the students, for your subject. Um, if you don't have that passion, it's not worth coming to work.
Right.
You have to have that passion, and
I feel like you're gonna hurt the kids more than yourself too when you come in without that.
yeah, I mean, you have to love it. You have to. There's going to be days. There's going to be days when you wake up in the morning and you go, "Ugh,
Of
I don't
course.
want to go," but you get here and you get into it, and if you have that passion, it's going to come out and it's going to show,
Right.
and it's going to make you as a teacher feel better. It'll help motivate you and keep you going.
Right. So when did you realize like I actually want to follow my heritage and become a teacher? I actually want to follow the line of those teachers because I mean, for me that would be a deterrent from becoming a teacher. I don't like just following suit, like my parents and all of them are military and then I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to do that. I want to discontinue the line." What made you feel like you wanted to pick that up and go with it? What was like uniquely your experience?
Well, to be honest, I played a lot of sports in high school, and I had coaches that were phenomenal. And I had a coach one day tell me, in fact, I was hurt. And so it was during basketball tryouts. I had a sprained ankle from volleyball, and I couldn't try out. And I went to every day of tryouts, and I begged, and I said, can I please do something to be on the team? And she said, sit right here. And so I sat on the bleachers and watched. And she came to me, and she said, what about this girl and this girl and this girl? What do you think? And I gave her my opinion. And she said, you're going to be a good teacher someday. And that totally turned me around more than, having the genealogy of teachers or anything like that. That was that one comment that coach made to me saying, you're going to be a good teacher someday. And that did it. That sealed the deal.
Wow. I mean, I just want to point out to you too, because I'm sure you have probably thought about this in the past, but do you realize you could have had that kind of moment with multiple students? Like you could have said something that have changed their lives?
I hope that I have. I don't know if I have, because you never know.
Right.
Because you don't know what happens in the future after they graduate and things like that. But I hope that I have. I really do.
I'm sure you have. I mean, with 30 years of teaching, there's no chance that you haven't had at least one student that you've, you know, have turned that light on for them. So, this one I didn't want to like get too into, but what do you like least about teaching?
um, Paperwork.
Yes.
Um,
Oh,
I just feel like there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that we have to, jump through hoops
right.
and that kind of stuff. It's hard.
Was it that way when you started teaching?
When I started teaching, not as much. I mean, there was a little bit, but not as
Right.
much. And then as I furthered my career and got into special ed, then, I mean, the paperwork there is
Oh, I'm
astronomical.
sure. Yeah.
And I did that for 18 years, and I thought, okay, I've done it for 18 years. I'm tired of the paperwork. I got to do something else. And so I changed back into regular general education. It didn't stop. It was just a different type of paperwork. So,
Right.
but that, just the mundane, not teaching stuff
Right. Yeah.
that you have to do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I mean that comes with every job. So I feel like it's a good thing that you like. I think you've said that in the past. You're like it's just a little thing that you have to get over. Um, Another conversation we had in the past after class one time was we were talking about like your teaching career, and then you brought up the fact that like. So I asked a question. I was like, what made you feel like every student was worth it? And you said, to be honest, you didn't feel that way in the beginning. Then you went and taught special education, and it changed your entire perspective on everything. How did that happen, and what was that like?
well, unless you've taught special education, it's a feeling you're never going to know. But watching kids that struggle and how hard that they try, and kids that have almost given up and then coming back, it's really kind of indescribable. But I know from doing that every kid mattered. And, when I first started teaching, I was all that. I was out of college, I was cool, I was going to be the best teacher ever, and I wasn't.
Right.
And I had a year where I taught a combined class. I had general education students with special ed students together, and watching them and seeing how they looked up to the other kids, and how the general education kids would take those special ed kids and help them along. It was amazing to me. It was almost miraculous how those kids got together and helped each other.
Right.
And to me, that just says, hey, everybody's worth it. Everybody's got something in them. No matter, how much a kid drives me crazy or is a ding-a-ling in class or whatever, everybody has something.
Right.
Everybody has something to give. And if I can bring that out in a student, I will. And some students are harder than others, but,
Right.
That's the goal.
I think what's really nice is you got your last year as like a teacher, who's teaching seniors, right? And that's probably one of the more difficult ones to do just because we're ready to be out of here. We feel like we're already independent, capable, and like we don't need a lot of these classes. And I mean, that's got to be tough because you're still trying to teach them. You know how much inexperience they actually have, and you know how not ready they are. But without that willingness to like, listen to you and like kind of see that from another perspective and be like, oh, this teacher has been living for longer than me and has been doing stuff for longer than me and is potentially where I want to be. Maybe I should listen to them. I think that the fact that you had that perspective, especially from teaching special ed and just seeing the value of every student, I think that really made you like a more impactful teacher just because you understood like these are seniors. I'm not going to force it on them. If they want to learn it, they're going to learn it. The only thing that I'm going to require of you is just that you turn in the work and that it's up to par, and that's about it. And I think what happened is anybody who really wanted to learn went out and got it for themselves and really asked you and became engaged in the class, and anybody who just wanted to get that A and just pass and get out of here, well, they did that too. And I think that the fact that you gave them that opportunity and then also gave the kids who really wanted to grow and learn from this class the opportunity really just shows like that's a seasoned veteran of a teacher right there. That's somebody who knows like I can't force somebody to do anything they don't want to do. I'm not going to force a kid to learn because that's just not how it works.
Well, the thing is, that something I have learned in teaching and within myself as well is, kids come to class and they're going to put their head down, or they're going to get on their phone, or they're going to do whatever, and they do have that choice whether they want to learn or not. But I have learned that they really do learn whether they want to or not. Later in life, something's going to come up and they're going to go, oh, hey, I remember that.
Right, there's the application.
There it is. And so it really is there. So really my job is just to put it there. What
Right.
the students do with it after that is up to them, but it's there. And so it may come up later in life. Oh my gosh, I remember that from senior English class, and they're 40 years old or whatever.
Right. Well, I think that the fact that you have that more linear perspective is like so much better than a lot of teachers, because they want the immediate results. Like, I see that you're learning now. I want to see that you're seeing it now. Even if that kid gets good grades, they still want them to have that application, which I understand that's the whole goal, is like you would love to see that application now. But I think the fact that you understand that some of the application comes way later is really important too. And I feel like you're more introspective with the fact that you apply what you've experienced in a much more personal way, and then you're like applying that to your students. And I think that gives you more of like an empathetic, understanding kind of view, where you're still holding them to a standard, but it's a standard that is you just understand like what's going on, and it's a good standard to have while you're still giving them that opportunity to like kind of realize for themselves.
Right. Yeah. I was a senior in high school once too. So
Right, yeah.
I remember that, and I know what it felt like, and so I an inkling of what you guys are going through. It's a lot different now than it was.
Right, with all this COVID stuff especially.
Yeah,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's crazy stuff, and that's what I've noticed is the kids today are so resilient and have just overcome a lot of things. Us old people are we have a little bit tougher time, but
Yeah.
it's like I said earlier. I love learning from students, and I have learned a ton this year, probably more so than in any other year.
Wow.
Just watching kids overcome things and do things, and them helping me with like technological things that I don't know how to do because I'm
Right.
old. But just it's been fun, and I love it.
I think it's so funny that you say that we're resilient, because I feel like the only reason that it looks that way is because we can present how resilient we actually are.
Can we have Israel Ramirez come to the main office?
And that's how you know we're in a school, ladies
Yep,
and
right
gentlemen.
there.
Yeah. But like I was saying, I don't feel like we're super resilient. I feel like we've got the chance to display, just that like human resiliency in itself. And I feel like if you guys would have got that chance, we would have seen how really tough you guys were. I mean, you didn't have to go through this pandemic when you were our age, but you also didn't have a phone, and quarantine would have been far more difficult without that, without all the media, without everything. So as resilient as we are, we're also a little bit, we have tools to make it a lot easier. And Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime really do make quarantine a little less difficult. So I feel like, yes, we are resilient to a degree, and we are trying to inflict change. But I also feel like you guys, all the generations before had their own kind of toughness, and they didn't get to display it the way that we do on a national platform.
Yeah. Well, times have changed.
Right.
Things are different. So.
Yeah, so I have a fun question that I want to
Okay.
ask, and I think this one's good, especially since you're retiring, and that theoretically means moving towards something that you would really love and that you just want for the rest of your life, right? So this question I'm going to start asking to everybody on the podcast, but it's like, what would your ideal house be, and where would it be?
Well, I think my ideal house would be all one level, because as we get older, knees hurt and
Right,
stairs
something
are terrible.
accessible, right?
And if I could, I would have a house on the beach. I love the ocean. I mean,
What state?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Probably not a state. It would probably be an island somewhere.
Right.
I love the ocean. I've been to the Caribbean. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
If I could have a house on a beach and all those crystal blue waters, it would be wonderful.
That would be insane, yeah.
But I would also want my family to be around me.
Right.
Um,
So let's say in this perfect situation, you have that island. It's
Mhm.
big. It has enough space for you to feel like you're not, crowded or anything. And then also you have direct, like you could just, be with your family
yes.
in a matter of like an hour or so.
Mhm.
Would that be perfect for you? And what kind of house would it actually be? Because I want details. I think this
Oh,
is
wow.
really interesting.
Details. Okay. I would love it if my family was all within an hour of me. That would be great.
Right.
Especially my grandkids.
Right.
Kids or whatever, but grandkids are the best.
Right. I always hear that you save the nice, sweet part for the grandkids.
That's true. That is very true. I think my house would probably be, like I said, one level, open spaces, a great room, kitchen, dining area, kind of all together.
Right.
3 or 4 bedrooms when kids came to visit, if they needed to stay, grandkids, whatever. I would like my husband to have a shop in the back because he loves to build things, and I love to build things with him. We have a great time doing that.
Right.
Big, airy, I don't know square feet because
Right.
that's not my thing, but
Right.
but just a lot of room to move and when my whole family gets together to not be shoulder to shoulder, but
Right.
to have some room and play and do all those things. That's what I would love.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. I think what that shows is just like, obviously you value your family, and I do want to talk about that because I think that's super important, and it's definitely played a role in your teaching for sure because you have a kind of a family atmosphere with the way that you teach your class. I think that it's pretty cool that you want to have like an island or whatever, or just a big thing. I feel like the really interesting thing though is just how much you lean on that aspect of family and like how oriented that building would be for your family. What role has your family played in your teaching besides just the general factors? Like what maybe indirect role have they played that has kind of affected your teaching?
That's kind of a hard question, Reed.
I'm sure.
I think family is more than just what I have at home right now. It has to go back to my parents and my grandparents as well, and the influence that they played on me there. My dad was a wonderful teacher.
Right.
He was a coach, very well loved in his community. Love you, Dad. But as far as my family, my immediate family right now, just how supportive they've been. My husband is one in a million. Just he loves me and he supports my teaching. In fact, I go to graduation every year. And probably, in 30 years, graduation has been on our anniversary, June 2nd, and his birthday as well.
Oh, wow.
Probably, I would say, 20 out of the 30 years I've taught.
Wow.
And he has been so supportive to let me go to graduation because he knew that was so important. And we celebrated those other things on another day. And so to me, that just says that he values me. And
Right.
that makes teaching easier.
Right.
And then my kids as well. I had my oldest son came here to Clearfield and was a student here, and my other 2 kids went somewhere else. But they always, just because I'm their mom, yeah, I can do that. But
Right.
because I was a teacher, they did come to me with those kind of questions too, which made me feel validated, I guess,
Right.
for
Well,
lack of a better word.
I think it made you feel valuable, right? Like
Yes.
you had something to give other than
Yes.
just being a mom. On
Mhm.
top of that, you're a teacher, which is 2 of the hardest roles, right? But then you're also coming to them with more to give. I think that's something that's exceptional, and I think that's like, I think that probably, no, that definitely played a huge role in the way that you taught. I feel like you treat every kid like they're your own, and I think I've seen that. Like even the kids that are less engaged, you still have an active like you still want to know what they're going through, and you
Right.
still want to be there for them regardless of how close you are to that kid or not. I feel like you've always shown an interest in their well-being, and I think that's more than just like a regular motherly nature. I feel like that's a teacher mixed with a mom, and that's a combination that is so different than any other combination,
Yeah.
and I think you struck gold with the way that you do that, doing that and everything. And I think the way that you teach is just super super family like, and it's not too much. Like I still feel like I learn, and it's not like the personal aspect it hinders anything. I feel like it enhances everything. I feel like you really appreciate what each kid and each individual is going through,
For sure.
and I think that that really played a big role. Um, I just want to say, like, I agree with you completely too with how family is like why it's important to you to have that family there. My dream is to just have a big old house in South Carolina, close-ish to the water, and just have a ton of space for family to come and stay with me. My dream is to have my parents live with me at some point when they're older and when they need that. But I want them to be there. I want my family in my house. I want that house to be not crowded but full. And I think that I can totally empathize with you on that because family is a huge part for me. And I feel like, especially here in Utah, where the culture is predominantly LDS, family is a huge, huge part.
Yes, it
And
is.
so I feel like I totally agree with you there, and I appreciate that perspective because I think it's affected the way that you've taught so much. And yeah, I just appreciate that a ton.
Thank
So,
you.
the next question.
That's all we have.
So my next question for you is just like, what's the next step? What are you gonna do now? And I don't want to put you on the spot here. I don't mean anything in terms of money. I just mean, what are you gonna do to fill your time now? Because I can't see you settling down or just sitting there for very long. I think you're gonna have a couple of months where you just kind of relax and then boom, you're just
Yep.
back in it.
Yeah, you're very right. That's very true. I don't sit very long.
Those with ADD
It does go with
cannot.
ADD, and it
And
is
just
what
your
it is. But
personality, right?
it is. I'm a busy person. I'm not gonna lie. I do like to sit and relax.
Right.
I will do it. I've got my little binge watching shows that I do on Netflix and that kind of stuff too, just like anybody else. But
Of course.
for the first month or so, I do want to relax. I want to take time with my new grandbaby. I want to help my kids do things that they need to do.
Right.
I have projects around my house that I want to get done. Just crazy, stupid little
You stuff. Just stuff.
yeah, just stuff. And eventually, I will look for a part-time job. I do need to get out of the house.
Right.
Can't stay there forever.
Right.
And just do a little part-time job where I can go do something where I don't have to think so hard.
Right.
Just kind of do some things for me, but yet be around for my family.
Right.
Be there for them if they need it. If they need a babysitter, I'm there. If they need, whatever.
Right.
So,
I just think that you're super like maybe not goal oriented per se, but I feel like you want to fill your day with things that make you feel like you've used the time
mhm.
at the very least just used it. And I feel like I can't see you just sitting there, of course, like I said, but I also can't just see you, like working somewhere and just working for the monotony of like working, just being like, oh, I'm here just because I need to work. I feel like you're gonna do it, but you're gonna do it in a way that, is like that retired person who just enjoys their job because they chose their job and they're just there to be there. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm here because I have to be here. It's like I feel like you're gonna go on and just do something really, just really fun. I don't even think it's gonna be as like pivotal as a role, as teaching is. But I feel like say you're like a Target clerk or whatever. I feel like that would still be you would put a lot of energy and time into that, and I feel like you'd be that person that I remember. Oh, I had this really good conversation with the clerk today, or like as I was checking out, the nicest smile, and just had great customer service. I'm excited to see where you go with all that because besides just the energy you bring with teaching, I just think you're overall a really kind person, and I'm really excited to see what you do with everything. And I feel like this is kind of backwards to hear from your student, but I'm excited to hear where you're gonna go. I'm excited to see what you're gonna do with the rest because I feel like, even though you've done teaching for 30 years and you've accomplished so much already, I feel like the ceiling is still pretty high above where you are right now, and I feel like you're gonna go out and accomplish something greater. And I think that I don't think your impact on kids' lives is going to stop now. I just have a good feeling that you're going to be playing a role in, kids' lives more than just in a teaching role. I feel like you have more to give in that way, and I don't know if that's true necessarily in your opinion, but I feel like you have so much potential to do good here, and you've done so much good here at Clearfield High School. it's been a really amazing experience to have you as an English teacher because I've been to 3 different high schools. I've been to a ton of English classes, and teachers are usually not the most personable or the most like fun to be around, and you're like, oh, I just associate that person with writing a bunch of essays and whatnot. But I feel like coming here as a senior with a lot of anxiety about being at a new school, my senior year, during a pandemic, you really brought that atmosphere of family and understanding and just overall just like I'm gonna be here for you. And what that did for me is I came into this class my first period on the first day, and I felt like I was gonna be taken care of. And so I just want you to know how much I appreciate that, how much that has done for me, and I'm sure that that's happened with a bunch of other students who really needed that. I just want to take a little bit of time to appreciate what you've done and the magnitude of what you've done. In one year, in less than 1 year, in one semester, the semester that you've known me, you've changed my life in a bunch of ways. You've influenced decisions. You've helped me to really try to achieve more. I had lower goals than I should have, and you pushed me to be what I wanted to be, and you pushed me to do what I wanted to do. And my just
Astle, you have students waiting for you by your
There we go.
this is a school, yeah.
Yeah.
But my appreciation is something that I don't think you're ever going to be able to fully understand. I don't think that you don't see it, but you have touched countless lives here, and the impact that you had on their lives is going to be impact that they're going to have on other people's lives. And you have been so much more important to a bunch of other students, and I'm sure you don't realize it, but this is something that teaching should be a noble role. It should be a role that's looked at as something that it has the potential to change the world. And I think that you've done that in an incredible way. I think that you've been able to accomplish so much and just make so many people feel loved, appreciated, and looked after. And because of that, I think that the impact that you have is going to be immeasurable. I think that um, you know you'll probably never be able to see it, but if you ever do get that perspective on it, I think that it will shock you. And I just wanted to say thank you from all of us. You've taught to any kid that you've changed them in any way. I just wanted to say thank you from Clearfield. I think it's been a great experience being in your class.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Reed. That means a whole lot to me. It is nice to hear. Anybody wants to hear nice things, and that is so wonderful of you to say. And in response to that, what I would say is this, is if I have touched your life, then please go pay it forward. I don't need the thanks. I don't need the whatever. But the thing that would really be the best for me is if somebody like you could take whatever influence I gave you, good, whatever, take the good things that you've learned from me and pay it forward to someone else, and keep it going. If you saw something good in me, take that and give it to somebody else, and hopefully they'll do the same. And that's what it's all about. If we continue to do that, imagine what kind of a world we would be in. It would be wonderful. And I just so appreciate, I am so full of gratitude today, especially on my very last day of teaching, so full of gratitude for all the many, 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 many wonderful things that have happened. There are many, many horrible things that have happened in my teaching career as well. And those I kind of look at as learning experiences and try to take from those and make things better. One thing that I do want to say is that every student does matter. Every kid matters. I know that there are kids that come into my class that just have crap lives. And if I can just come in and say, hey, how you doing, and give them a high five or a knuckle bump or whatever, and let them know that somebody's looking out for them, that's all that matters, and sometimes that's all they need. And if I can do that, then that's what I'll do. And hopefully I've accomplished that. Like you said, I don't know if I will. I don't know what I've done. But I loved my job. It will always be near and dear to me. Clearfield High is in my heart forever. Forever and ever and ever. The students, the teachers, the staff, everything is wonderful. And thank you so much, Reed, for allowing me to express these things and for being a student.
Yeah. So I hope that everybody, listening to this just understands the message of today. You have value as a person. You are important and you have an impact to make on the world. With that being said, today I want to kind of shout out a little bit, or not shout out, but use as a recommendation. If you are having suicidal thoughts, or anybody that you know is, there is a hotline, right? You can go and you can call that number and you can get help. Everybody has value to add to this world. If you're listening to this and you need somebody to talk to, I am always open. You can DM me, you can DM the account, and you can talk to us. I won't share anything with anybody, but I'm here for you. Um, you have value to add to this world. I think that should be the biggest takeaway, and it is super important. So the suicide hotline is 1-800-273-8255. If you need help, get help. We're here for you. The suicide hotline is there for you. There are other hotlines for anxiety and things like that. Call if you need it. But the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to see is you have value to add to this world. This English 12 teacher just told you that you are important no matter what, and that you always have somebody in your corner. Maybe it's somebody that you don't think of. Maybe it's not even a teacher. Maybe it's that person that you just see in the hall. But just realize you have value to add to this world. Thank you so much, Miss Astle. This has been
Thank you.
a fantastic interview. I can't wait to see what everybody does with the lessons that you've taught them, and just see what you do. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at graduation, because you definitely played a big role in getting me there. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been Desert Skies podcast episode 4 at Clearfield High, interviewing Terri Astle. Thank you so much for everything, and I hope you guys listen. Follow us on Instagram at Desert Skies Podcast, and with that being said, thank you for listening.